Jai Hind students, welcome to my YouTube channel. Students, in this episode or rather in this session, we'll be discussing some very important conceptual questions based on the laws of electromagnetic induction and obviously the concept which is related to the production of the induced EMF or induced current due to the time rate change in the magnetic flux. So here we go. Let's discuss the first question. First question is a bar magnet. This is a bar magnet. It is dropped so that it falls vertically through this coil. This is coil C. And the graph obtained for voltage produced across the coil versus time is as shown. This y-axis, this represents the voltage so developed in the coil. And the horizontal axis, it represents the time. So this is a graph between the voltage, that is the EMF produced in this coil, versus time. Now we are supposed to explain the shape of this graph, and also we are supposed to justify why this negative peak, this is the negative peak, which is of longer than that of the positive peak. This is the positive peak, and this one is the negative peak. The negative peak is much longer than that of the positive peak. So first and foremost, we need to explain the shape of this graph. And secondly, we need to discuss why this negative peak is longer than that of the positive peak, right? So student, a magnet is moving towards the coil as it is made to fall through the coil. Now as it approaches towards the coil, what happens is the magnetic flux linked with the coil starts increasing. And as we are aware, due to the change in the magnetic flux linked with the coil, an induced EMF is produced. Induced EMF in magnitude is given by d phi by dt, time rate change in the magnetic flux. And we are aware phi is equal to scalar product of magnetic field and area vector, isn't it? So, magnetic flux increases non-uniformly because the motion of the magnet is accelerated. Now, as it comes down, its velocity keeps on increasing. So, basically it is a non-uniform motion. So, magnetic flux also increases non-uniformly as the motion of the magnet is accelerated one, right? So, whenever the magnet tends to approach towards this coil, then the EMF is produced due to the motion of the magnet. And the induced EMF, which is represented by this reading shown by the voltmeter, the EMF so induced in the coil increases till the magnet reaches just above this coil. So as the magnet comes down, the flux tends to get increased, and just when it is above the coil, at this point, the EMF attains the peak value. This is the peak value, right? And then while the magnet moves through the coil, when the magnet comes over here in between, somewhere in between the coil, then what happens is the magnetic flux starts decreasing. So it starts decreasing. And with the flux, the induced EMF also decreases. And at the instant when it is exactly inside the coil, the induced EMF at this instant becomes 0. During this period, now when the magnet falls down like this, so when the magnet moves through the coil, the magnetic flux starts decreasing. With the flux, the induced EMF also decreases and EMF at this instant is 0. Now the magnet starts withdrawing. It starts coming out of the coil, right? So during this period, the magnetic flux again starts increasing through the coil, and thus the EMF also starts increasing, but in the opposite direction. Initially, if this end is attaining north pole and this is south pole, then as the magnet approaches, due to the opposing nature of the induced EMF and induced current, the induced current so developed in the coil will tend to oppose the approaching magnet, so that this end will acquire north polarity and this end of the coil will acquire south polarity. Now as the magnet tends to withdraw from the coil. Then what happens is the induced current in the coil will be produced due to the receding magnet. So now again the induced current will be produced due to the change in the magnetic flux, but now the direction of the induced current will be such that it will oppose the receding magnet. So in this case, when the magnet comes out of the coil, it withdraws itself. Then what happens is, in this case, this end will acquire north polarity and this end of the coil will acquire south polarity. So that explains why the direction of the EMF or the voltage get changed, right? So the EMF induced also increases as it comes out of the coil, and at this position it is maximum, and thereafter as the magnet starts falling down, it keeps on, its distance from the coil keeps on increasing, the induced EMF starts decreasing and eventually it becomes zero, right? So again I explain, students, magnetic flux increases non-uniformly because the motion of the magnet is accelerated. So due to the change in the magnetic flux linked with the coil, an EMF is induced. This EMF increases till the magnet reaches just above the coil. At this point, the EMF induced is maximum, right? So at this point, the EMF attains its peak value. Now while the magnet moves through the coil, when it moves through the coil, the magnetic flux starts decreasing. With the flux, the induced EMF also decreases, and eventually the induced EMF becomes zero. So when the magnet is at this position, the induced EMF becomes zero. Now the magnet starts withdrawing from the coil. It starts falling through the coil. It starts receding from the coil, isn't it? So during this period, the magnetic flux again increases through the coil, and thus the EMF induced also increases, but this time opposite in the direction as I've indicated. The induced EMF attains its maximum value the moment magnet just come out of the coil. So at this instant, when the magnet just comes out of the coil, here the induced EMF attained by the coil is maximum. After this, the magnet moves away from the coil, right? And thus the magnetic flux through the coil decreases and the EMF in the coil also starts decreasing till at some instant, at some later instant, it is reduced to zero. So that explains the shape of the graph. Now regarding the answer of the second part, why is the negative peak longer than that the positive peak? This negative peak is greater than that of the positive peak, right? Now look, students, the relative speed of recession when the magnet withdraws from the coil. So this will be the relative speed of the recession, and when the magnet approaches the coil, that will be the relative speed of the approach of the magnet towards the coil. So obviously, since it is falling, so its velocity will keep on increasing. It is in accelerated motion. It is an accelerated motion. The arrows of longer length indicate the increase in the velocity. So what I mean is, the relative speed of recession of the magnet from the coil is much more than the relative speed of approach of the magnet towards the coil. And this is the reason why negative peak is longer than that of the positive peak. Because students, always remember, the magnitude of the induced EMF is dependent on the time rate change in the magnetic flux. So as the relative motion when the magnet withdraws from the coil is faster, so the rate of change of magnetic flux linked with the coil is more, and accordingly EMF induced in the case when the magnet withdraws from the coil is much more as compared to the case when the magnet falls towards the coil. So that explains why the negative peak is longer. This is the negative peak. It is longer than that of this positive peak, right? Okay, now let's discuss the second question. We are supposed to plot graph which shows the variation of magnetic flux versus the current. Second part is induced EMF versus the rate of change of current. Rate of change of current is di by dt. And third is, we are supposed to plot a graph between the magnetic potential energy stored in a coil versus the current, right? So let's discuss the first part. We are supposed to plot a graph between magnetic flux and current. Suppose this represents current, and let us consider this to represent, this axis to represent magnetic flux. This is current and this is, suppose, the magnetic flux. Now students, we are already aware magnetic flux is directly proportional to the current flowing through the coil. Why is it so? Because we are aware magnetic flux is equal to the scalar product of magnetic field and the area vector, isn't it? And also magnetic field is directly proportional to the current flowing through the coil. So combining these two, we can safely conclude that flux associated with the coil is directly proportional to the current flowing through it. So since these two quantities are linearly dependent, therefore we must obtain a straight line equally inclined and passing through the origin. So it should be like this. So phi is proportional to I. So this is the graph which shows the variation of the magnetic flux with the current, right? Let's consider the second part. We are supposed to plot graph between induced EMF versus the rate of change of current. Let us consider this to be the rate of change of current. This is represented by di by dt. In SI, it would be an ampere per second. And suppose this represents induced EMF. Small e, it represents induced EMF. Right? Now we are aware from Faraday's third law. We know that E is equal to d phi by dt, isn't it? And as per Lenz's law, induced EMF is always of opposing nature. So this is negative sign. And also in case of a coil, we are aware E is equal to minus L di by dt. So this is the expression which we are aware of, right? So E equals to minus L di by dt. L is constant, which is known as the self-inductance of the coil. While di by dt, it represents the rate at which the current in the coil is changing, isn't it? So L being constant, and we are supposed to plot graph between induced EMF and the rate of change of current. So again, both are linearly dependent, but due to this negative sign, we need to plot the graph in this quadrant, isn't it? In the fourth quadrant. So it should be like this. So E is directly proportional to di by dt, but due to this negative sign, the graph is to be plotted in this quadrant. So it will be a straight line. Now let's consider the third case. We are supposed to plot graph between magnetic potential energy. It is actually the energy stored in the inductor, which gets stored in the inductor in the form of magnetic field. So it is also known as magnetic potential energy. And we are supposed to plot graph between magnetic potential energy and the current, right? So let us consider this axis to represent the magnetic potential energy. Let it denoted by U. And suppose the horizontal axis, it denotes the current I. So this is current, and suppose this is potential energy or magnetic potential energy. This is potential energy, right? Now you need to have that mathematical relationship between these two. Energy stored in an inductor, that is always in the form of magnetic field, and it is given by half L I square, isn't it? For a given coil, L is constant, so potential energy is directly proportional to the square of the current. So using this mathematical relationship, we can easily plot a graph showing the variation between the potential energy and the current. So Y is proportional to I square. It's of the standard equation of a parabola. So it will be like this. Clear, student? So this is the graph which shows the variation between magnetic potential energy and the current. Now let us attempt to try this very interesting question. A metallic rod of length L, this is a metallic rod of length L, is rotated with angular frequency. This is a rod and it is rotated like this with angular frequency omega, with one end hinged at the center. This is supposed the center, and the other end at the circumference of a circular metallic ring about an axis. This is the axis, about an axis passing through the center and perpendicular to the plane of the ring. A constant uniform magnetic field B parallel to the axis is present everywhere. This dot, this represents the magnetic field which is parallel to the axis and in the outward direction. This is the region of magnetic field where the magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane and directed outwards, which is parallel to the axis of this ring. Explain how EMF is induced between the center and the metallic ring and hence obtain an expression for it. So we need to explain how the EMF get induced. Now students, it's a very interesting question. We are already aware of magnetic Lorentz force, isn't it? So this is a rod. It will have several large numerous number of free electrons inside it. These free electrons under the influence of this perpendicular outward magnetic field will experience magnetic force, and the magnetic force is given by the magnetic Lorentz force is given by F vector is equal to Q V vector cross B vector. In case of an electron, inside the rod, what we get is F vector is equal to minus E V vector cross B vector. So electron will experience a force in a direction opposite to V cross B. Now this rod is rotated along this direction, right? This is the velocity vector and this is the direction of the magnetic field which is outward. So what's the angle between this two? They are perpendicular. So what will be the direction of V cross B? It will be like this. This is V. This is the direction of velocity vector and this is the direction of the magnetic field in the outward direction. So V cross B would be like this. V cross B. It will be in the outward direction, radially outward direction. So V cross B, the direction of V cross B is radially outward. So it will be along this direction, V cross B. It will be along this direction. So therefore F vector being negative of V cross B, so therefore it will experience a force is directed radially inwards. So basically what I mean to say is that as this rod is rotated, right, under the influence of this perpendicular outward magnetic field, the electrons inside the rod will experience a magnetic force in the inward direction. So here the electrons at this end of the rod, the electrons will get accumulated. So it will be at lower potential, while this end of the rod, due to the absence or due to the deterioration of the electrons, will acquire a net positive potential. So this potential difference, due to this potential difference developed due to the rearrangement of the electrons, a voltage will get induced in the rod, right? So basically, according to Lorentz force, F vector is equal to Q V cross B, right? So when the metallic rod rotates, the free charges, which are the electrons inside it, tend to move in a direction perpendicular to the velocity vector. So in this case, as I've explained, the electrons moves towards the inner end of the rod and the positive charges towards the outer end of the rod, right? So as a result of accumulation of charges, an EMF is induced between the two ends of the rod. So that is how the EMF is induced between the center and the metallic ring. Now let's find out an expression for it. Now what to do is, let us consider a small portion over here. Let us consider a small portion. Let its distance from the center be x. This is the distance x. I am drawing this diagram over here. This is the center of the rod. This is the rod, suppose. And it is being, this is the linear velocity, and it is being rotated in the anti-clockwise direction with angular speed omega under the influence of this uniform outward magnetic field, right? So let's consider a small portion over here. So this is x equals to 0, so it can be considered to be x. And this end, it will be equal to x equals to L, right? So let the velocity of this segment be v. Let us consider this segment it to be dx. Its velocity is v, right? So the motional EMF, induced across the segment, will be, I am talking about the small segment dx, is dE. E is the induced EMF, D represents small EMF that get induced in this small segment dx. The formula is E equals to, the formula for the motional EMF is E equals to BVL, isn't it? So here, for the small segment, the small EMF induced is given by BV, and this is length of the small segment, which is dx. Clear, students? So therefore, the motional EMF induced across the ends of the rod, will be given by integration of this, that is E, it would be given by integration of BV dx, and limits would be from 0 to L, isn't it? It will be from 0 to L. Magnetic field is uniform, so it can be taken outside the integration. Now what is the relationship between the linear velocity and the angular velocity? V is equal to omega x. So the linear velocity of this small segment is considered to be v. So it will be omega x. Omega is the angular velocity. So angular velocity of each and every constant particle of this rod will be same, isn't it? Linear velocity of different constant particles would be different. We have considered the small segment dx to have a linear velocity v. So v equals to omega x. Omega is the angular frequency with which the rod is rotated. So in place of v, we can write omega x dx, right? So still omega is the constant angular frequency, so it can be taken outside. So it will be integration of x dx. Limit would be from 0 to L. So integration of x with respect to x is x square by 2. Limits would be from 0 to L. So what we get is half b omega L square. So students, this is the expression for the EMF which get induced between the center and the metallic ring. Now let's proceed to the next question. Again, a very, very interesting question. A thin semicircular conducting ring of radius capital R, this is a ring of radius capital R, its radius is given to be capital R, is falling with its plane vertical in a horizontal magnetic field, right? magnetic field is horizontal like this. Magnetic field is in the horizontal plane, while the semicircular conducting ring of radius r is falling with its plane vertical. Ring is in the vertical plane, while the magnetic field is in the horizontal plane, as it's pretty evident from this particular diagram, right? So at the position MNQ, the speed of the ring is v. Okay. At this position, the speed of the ring with which it is falling is v, right? Remember, it is falling in the vertical plane. Now, what is the potential difference developed across the ring at the position MNQ? At this position, what is the EMF which is generated across the ring? That is to be found. Now, for this, what we do is, suppose that the semiconductor ring falls through an infinitesimally small distance dx. So, this can be considered to be a small distance dx, this one. Let us consider this to be dx, isn't it? As the ring falls through a small distance dx from its initial position MNQ to suppose MN M dash Q dash N dash, like this. This will be its final position, right? So as it falls through it, definitely there will be decrease in the area of the ring inside the magnetic field, isn't it? As the ring falls down through this small distance dx, there will be a decrease in the area of the ring associated with this magnetic field, right? Therefore, decrease in area of the ring inside the magnetic field. Magnetic field is horizontal inside the magnetic field. I'm talking about this area, this portion, isn't it? The area of this portion would be, this will be the diameter, which will be equal to twice the radius, and this one is dx. So what is the area of this portion? It will be 2r. It can be considered to be dA, decrease in the area. It will be equal to 2r and dx. This will be the length and this will be the breadth, right? And this negative sign suggests that there is decrease in the area of the ring inside the magnetic field. Now what happens is, due to this change in area, there will be change in magnetic flux. So therefore, the change in magnetic flux is given by d phi, the small change in the magnetic flux. It will be B into dA, isn't it? Because the angle between the magnetic field and the area vector is 0 degrees. So cos 0 is 1. Magnetic field is like this, and area vector would also be in the outward direction. So what we get is B, and substitute the value of dA, which is minus 2r dx. So this is the change in the magnetic flux. Therefore, the EMF so induced due to the change in this magnetic flux is given by E equals to, we are aware, it's minus d phi by dt. Negative sign is indicative of the fact that it is always of opposing nature. So what you get is, simply substitute the value. In place of phi, we can write, actually in place of d phi, we can write minus twice b r dx by dt. And students, dx by dt, the rate at which the value of x changes, that actually will give the velocity with which the ring is falling. So v would be equal to dx by dt. So it is equal to minus twice b r v. Actually, this negative sign and this negative sign, it will get cancelled out, isn't it? So we will get 2vrv. This is the negative sign, which indicates the opposing nature of induced EMF, and substitute the value of d phi as minus 2br dx. So this negative sign get cancelled. So we'll be left with this expression. So the magnitude of the induced EMF is twice brv. So this is the answer.